James Charles. That's it. That's the intro. I thought about not making this video because do I really need to add my voice into a sea of hundreds of other James Charles videos? Apparently I do since I'm recording this. Recently, James has come out with his third, I think, apology for the whole bashing on a Spirit Airlines employee for losing her job and making a GoFundMe to try and support herself situation. And I want to take some time to do a little rhetorical analysis of it because I feel like that could be interesting and helpful to understand exactly why this apology feels so bad to us as the viewer. It's not just because we don't like James. There's more to it. This isn't going to be like a super formal analysis. We're making a YouTube video, not writing an essay for English class here. But I do have writing and rhetoric degrees, so my brain can't help but put pieces together when I see these sorts of things unfold. And there's a lot of stuff going on here related to word choices, phrasing, and context that rub a lot of people, myself included, the wrong way when it comes to James Charles and all of his many apologies, really. But this latest one in particular. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Welcome to Salted Latte, a place where I like to dissect prose, usually related to books, but also through other mediums like influencer apologies now, I guess. Before we get into James's video, I want to start off by briefly identifying some key components to a general apology video, like its purpose, its audience, the topic discussed, and the writer and speaker themselves. These all provide context and shape how the message communicated is received. And then I'll get into them each a little more in depth related to James specifically as we listen to what he has to say. So the rhetorical context behind a typical apology video includes the purpose, which is to acknowledge fault and express remorse for one's wrongdoing, the audience or audiences, which can be the specific person or people directly impacted, your fan base, and just general browsers of the internet. The topic is whatever you said or did that warrants the apology. The writer or speaker is the person who's giving the apology, and the occasion is the time, the place, and the circumstances in which the apology is given. Okay. Now let's get into this video. Before I even press play, sorry, I know I just said we were gonna get into the video, but I want to talk about the location that James is choosing to film in and the way he is dressed. Because it is a choice, everything about this video is strategic, down to the plain clothes and the minimal makeup, which is not his usual look. He's a beauty and makeup influencer, he's usually glitzed and glammed up, but not here. This could be for several reasons. I believe the most likely ones are to come across as more relatable, firstly, especially given the situation he's speaking about, which has ties to classism and wealth inequality, just being out of touch with the everyday person. So he's coming to you cosplaying as a quote-unquote everyday person in order to come across as more likable and genuine. Another reason he appears this way and is in sort of a vague, simplistic setting is an attempt to come across as serious and sincere in what he is about to say. There is no clutter to draw your attention away, and it would come across as even more tone deaf if he pulled a Jeffree Star and sat on a gold couch in a Versace robe and in his giant mansion. He most definitely has all of those expensive things, but it's hidden from the viewer for the sake of the message today. And ironically, that plain white t-shirt he's wearing is from this brand here, and it likely costs hundreds of dollars. So, okay, now let's get into this video for real this time.
The video that I posted 2 weeks ago now about the Spirit Airlines situation was awful. That video was terrible, it was nasty, it was disrespectful, it was completely unnecessary. And seeing clips of it all over my For You page is embarrassing to say the least.
James has been using this similar kind of verbiage in his apologies for years now, even all the way back in 2019 with Tati and the hair supplement situation. He was disappointed in himself and his actions then, and he's embarrassed of himself and his actions now over 7 years later. If James were a smaller creator, he might be able to get away with using a similar structure for his apologies but he's not. He's had millions of followers across multiple platforms for years now, and the drama with Tati was huge across the entire internet, not just the beauty community space. People are still making videos recapping it today. He even did it again back in 2021 when he posted and then privated a video admitting to sending explicit messages to minors. The public has not forgotten. Even if they don't remember word for word what James has said in the past, they remember the feeling it gave them, and they still carry that with them today.
There is no excuse for making that video, so I'm not going to sit down today and try to give you one. I fucked up, point blank period. When I initially posted that video, it was on my spam account, which for anybody that might not be familiar is basically my second page where every piece of content is me crashing out and yelling at the camera over any random topic.
We're barely 30 seconds into this video and he's already contradicting himself here by saying what he knows we want to hear, which is what he said was inexcusable. And then immediately he goes into a spiel about his burner TikTok page to downplay the severity of his actions. If this actually is a script from his PR team, as some people have speculated, I just have to question why they would even leave this in, because it weakens the integrity of what he was just saying. The fact that this apology is over 7 minutes long is questionable too. An effective apology should be succinct to keep that clarity of your message as strong as possible.
The videos are supposed to be relatable and funny, and I talk about things like the hantavirus cruise or parking tickets or the cost of guacamole.
It is certainly an interesting move to group descriptors like relatable and funny alongside a viral outbreak and mass job losses, especially after you just spent the past several sentences establishing that your TikTok page is for lighthearted vibes. These topics are probably unserious to James because he has never and will never be affected by them in the way an average person would. But James's audience for this video is largely the average person, and so he brings up all of these things to try and level himself with the viewer, and it falls flat because he has no idea what he's talking about. Even bringing up the cost of guacamole, a pre-made, pre-packaged dip, instead of something like the cost of eggs or the cost of butter or even the avocados needed to make guacamole, these staple kitchen ingredients, is another way that James tells on himself here as living in his own LA influencer bubble.
But nothing about that Spirit Airlines video was in line with that content at all. To be completely honest with you, don't know what I was going through that day that led to me or allowed me to be so triggered by an individual one-off message like that, and I really don't know what the hell went through my head to think it was appropriate in any way, shape, or form to make a piece of content about somebody reaching out asking for a helping hand at a vulnerable time.
Now we're getting into the biggest contradiction, not just in James's apology video, but in almost all influencer apology posts. If you know that video was inappropriate and not aligned with the types of videos you make, then why did you post it in the first place? If you know the thing you're doing is bad, why are you doing the bad thing? That's because they don't think it's bad, at least not bad enough to receive a ton of backlash over. If the influencers who make apology videos actually believed in the words behind their apology, 90% of them wouldn't have even had to apologize because they wouldn't have done the thing in the first place. This is why, regardless of who is speaking, apologies are sort of a tricky and fickle thing to do because many of them will feel inherently fake to us. A lot of them probably are fake. These people are sorry that they got caught and that their career is taking a hit, not that they actually did the thing. And that's why James's apology is so bad. It is not coming from a genuine place of remorse, and audiences are quite good at sniffing out inauthenticity.
The intention behind that video was not to accuse anybody unemployed of being lazy, and it was also not to accuse any hardworking people of not working hard enough, but that is how the video came across, and I feel fucking terrible for contributing to those narratives.
But how can you say this when you called the woman in your original video lazy? And that last part rubs me the wrong way because who is defining what hardworking is? Certainly not James, who started his influencer career based on a lie. The internet knows too much about James Charles to let him get away with a lot of this. He clearly does not understand his audience, or he considers his audience to only be the people who love him and will follow him regardless of what he says or what he does, what he follows up on and what he doesn't. And if that is the case, then what is even the point of making this video?
I know that when I post this video today, there will probably be comments of people saying, you know, James, you're only making this response because of the backlash. And I want you to know that is true. When I first posted this video, clearly I didn't see a problem with it. It embarrassingly did take people making videos and me getting hate comments and backlash to actually take a step back, put myself in check, and realize what I said here is not okay, and now I need to educate myself as to why. And that's what I've been working on doing over the last 2 weeks.
So he's bringing this up to make the viewer feel good, to feel satisfied. Their keyboard warrior work was not for waste. He wants the viewer to think that they helped someone ignorant educate themselves. He wants the viewer to feel like they made a difference. And James is really banking on the high of that feeling to gloss over the fact that he has made claims of educating and bettering himself in every single one of his apology responses, even all the way back to the very first one in 2017 about Ebola. And yet these situations keep happening. There is a history of disconnect between James's words and his actions, and we can see it here too.
I uploaded a video on the same spam account apologizing, and since then, a lot of people have reached back out. The original Spirit Airlines employee did end up coming forward, so I was able to send her a private apology and donate to her GoFundMe, as well as several other Spirit Airlines employees that were also affected by the bankruptcy.
James includes this information, conveniently leaving out that the Spirit Airlines employee posted a public video denouncing his apology. I assume as another more tangible way to prove that he is rectifying the situation.
I know another question on here is, do I accept his apology? So I'm just going to answer it right together. Hell no. I don't accept his apology, especially because he was very publicly with what he said, and then you thought it was okay to message me privately. No. So he did message me. Here's a screenshot. And I don't accept it.
However, I think it has the opposite effect here because now you have put it into people's heads that you could have easily helped this woman out the entire time, which just ends up creating even more frustration.
However, I'm well aware that an apology video and a couple of donations from my couch in LA are not enough. In the initial video, I made a comment of like, welcome to the real world, why don't you just go get another job? And I now realize that that is literally just not possible. I knew that the economy and the job market weren't great, but I'm ashamed to admit my level of ignorance when it came to how bad it actually was. But now I'm definitely more in the loop because the last 2 weeks have been spent having a lot of conversations and listening to people.
All it took was 2 weeks of listening and conversations for James to discover class consciousness. I'm also interested to hear who exactly he's having these conversations with.
Whether it was a supporter, a non-supporter, a mean message, a nice message, I have just been reading and taking in as many stories as I possibly can.
Oh, it's just TikTok comments. And James wants you to feel really proud of him for reading comments from big meanies and not just his fans too. Listening to stories of real people's experiences is important, but I do fear there is some conflation happening between the efforts James is going through to educate himself and the small extent to which this education is actually happening or being sought out. He hasn't read any literature. He hasn't gone out into the real world to come face to face with the lives of everyday people. He's scrolling through them on a screen, secluded in his big fancy house. And we as viewers recognize this because, like I said earlier, this is a pattern for James. You can only say you're, quote, learning and growing so many times.
People have shared stories with me about getting laid off, companies filing for bankruptcy. People have told me about wanting to work but not being able to because of disability or medical, or even people applying for hundreds of jobs and never hearing back from recruiters. I've heard people tell me that they have 2, 3, 4 jobs and still can't put food on the table because the cost of living is just that high.
So it took him until this moment to realize life is tough for a lot of people and has been for years. Again, he's trying to come across as relatable with all of this "I understand you, I get what you're going through" speech, but it just doesn't work very well here, especially when you're saying stuff like, "I didn't realize some people have to work multiple jobs until like 2 weeks ago." Your audience, whether they are your ride or dies or a snarker or anywhere in between, do not live like you. And that is the biggest thing that unifies them. The instability of the job market and the economy is a sensitive topic, especially right now and especially in America where all of this is happening. To many people, this is personal. When James was attacking that woman, they could see themselves in her, which is why this blew up for James more so, I would say, than when he was accused of committing much more serious crimes, like inappropriately messaging minors. And given the fact that this is his third attempt at an apology for this situation, I don't think he realized how personal the subject is. When rich people try to take the angle of empathizing with the regular person, it never works out. It comes across as belittling, like it is in this video.
And I now realize that most people want to work, but quite literally cannot because of circumstances completely out of their control and a system that is working against them every single step of the way.
And this is exactly what I mean when I say this video comes across as belittling and almost satirical at times. Did you catch what he just said? The system is working against them. James cannot even use unifying language like us and we here because that simply wouldn't be true. The system isn't working against James Charles or people like him. It's working for him. Okay, I'm gonna skip ahead a couple minutes because it's just a lot of rambling and repeating of the same points that he's already made in different ways. And I don't want to get rambly and repetitive, so.
And I want to showcase to you guys that I've heard the backlash, I'm learning, and I want to put my money where my mouth is and hopefully be able to make a long-lasting impact. Today, I'm going to be launching the Painted Project.
Then we get into James's really grand final solution to all of this, which is launching the Painted Project. And the way he introduces this and talks about this project, just the phrasing here is really interesting because it makes it sound like this is an organization that already has some movement and that's in the works, but that is not necessarily the reality. At the point of recording this, the Painted Project is simply a tab on James's makeup website with a lot of "coming soon" plastered everywhere.
Now, I will be transparent and say that launching something like this is not fast and it's not easy. It's fine. It's going to be a multi-year thing that I'm really looking forward to putting my all into, but we're starting off with 3 initial launch phases. The first phase that is going to be starting next week on paintedproject.org is going to be initial emergency relief funding. This means direct cash support and resources towards people that have been fucked over by circumstances completely out of their control, and hopefully being able to help out those individuals to get back up on their feet, working again, so they can put food on the table for themselves and their families. The second phase of this is going to be working with local organizations that are actually on the ground to make sure that once those people are back up working again in the workforce, they're able to stay in those career paths to continue being successful and growing. The third step, which is going to be a little bit further down the line, but I'm very excited about, is going to be providing scholarships and tuitions towards creative education programs.
The scale with which he is describing this project is near impossible to be able to put together in a matter of weeks, which is why the website is pretty empty right now. And James does admit that this is meant to be a long-term thing. I don't have too much to say about the Painted Project in particular because only time will tell if James keeps his word. He speaks about some pretty lofty goals related to it when nothing has actually happened yet, nothing has actually come to fruition. And it's hard for myself and a lot of other viewers to believe in this project because James doesn't have a great track record for keeping his word. Hence all of his apologies. And since this is being thrown together coming off the heels of a scandal, yet another one, it just doesn't come across as very genuine. James ends his apology with a final call to action to check out the Painted Project website and see everything that they plan on doing. Not anything they've actually done yet, because again, nothing has actually been done yet. Everything James says sounds good in theory, and he is banking on that to be enough to slink past yet another controversy. So yeah, If you were looking for another reason to dislike James Charles, here you have it. He messages teenagers and he doesn't know how to put together a persuasive argument. I wonder which one's worse. I'd love it if you liked and subscribed to the channel. Like I said at the beginning of this video, over here at Salted Latte, I love to dive into and dissect language and prose through mostly books, but all sorts of mediums. Anything I'm interested in, really. This isn't the video I was talking about in last week's video when I said it was taking me a longer time to edit it, by the way. That one should be up next week though, and I'm very excited about it. It's like pop culture, sociolinguistics related, so stay tuned for that. But that is all I have to say for now, and I will talk to you all soon. Goodbye.